Welcome back to Social Sciences class, all my dear young minds. Today we are going to start a concept called non-alignment movement. In the previous video, we got concluded the part related to Cold War. Cold War occurred in three forms. Three types of tactics were practiced by or displayed by superpowers like USA, USSR. One, proxy wars, indirect wars, where they did not directly made into the fray, made themselves into the fray. They encouraged third world countries to go for war and by supplying arms and so on. Military alliances is the second form. Third one is arms and space race and flashpoints, where tension emerged in the world. That is, it appeared that third world war is going to be, but it did not happen. Such incidents we came across in the last video. Today, about non-alignment movement. When world got divided vertically, it got split down into two military blocks, one headed by capitalistic United States of America, one headed by communist USSR. There emerged a strong movement called non-alignment movement. What is this and so on? Before I explain, let me extend my deepest condolences to bereaved family of Sir Sri Pandita Rajula Subramaniam, Sripati Pandita Rajula Subramaniam, who is popularly called as SPP, one of the great son of the soil. Different sons will come from different fields to make things more and more beautiful. He is one such son. Mother India gave birth, and feel very sorry for his sad demise, and I extend a mourning for few seconds. Then after I will be starting with the non-alignment movement. Thank you. Yeah, one thing we have to remember, Nana. Rich persons will, rulers, rich persons, emperors, kings, dictators, they all come and go. They are a part of history. They come and go. But the people who come and who will be living for eras together are the people who got inclined with arts. Arts emerge from day-to-day life of the human beings. And those people who are associated with that arts, they will be alive till that human life is alive. One can't forget the valuable services extended to the arts, whatever it may be, music, drama, painting, drawing. Leonardo da Vinci, why is cherished even today? Ravi Verma, got it. And certain rulers who stood for some iconic values like Satya Harishchandra. Even today he is called out. If someone is saying something, if you don't believe, it's or Satya Harishchandra to speak. Why he is alive? The values they stick on. The ethics, Sri Rama, like this, what we can call epics from epics, or where rulers are there. Sri Rama is the first and foremost democratic ruler one have to understand before we call him a god. But who paid that utmost honor to a layman who in an inebriated status spoke something wrong about him, still being a ruler, accepted, honored, and he took a decision which is painful to him very much, but at the larger interest of the people, to set a moral good every ruler in the world what a ruler should be. That's why calling him as first and foremost democratic ruler. Thank you for bearing for this. So that's why either it may be even rulers, good also will be recorded well in history, bad also will be recorded well in history, and it's up to us whom to opt and follow. But if we want to opt good, we'll opt good and we'll follow. If we want to opt bad, we'll opt bad and we'll follow bad. But the results will be same. Good will get its own merit and bad will get its own demerit. Right? So, and we have to keep it in mind. No personality is totally good, no personality is totally bad. But and when time comes, we discuss much more about that. Now we are going into topic called non-alignment movement. It's a big topic, right? Yeah. During Cold War, during the era of Cold War, the world got divided into two bipolar world. The world got beg a pardon. During Cold War, era of Cold War, the world got divided vertically into two military blocks. But that is one led by communist capitalistic United States of America, and one led by USSR, communist USSR. It's a vertical division. This created a bipolar world. There may be a 1 month question in the final exam. How to answer that question? We are learning now. What are the causes for bipolar world during era of Cold War era? There are certain causes. 1 mark, 2 points to write. 1. Military and economic supremacy. The desire of military and economic supremacy of two superpowers, that is USA and USSR, is cause for division, making this world into bipolar world. Bipolar means two poles. One is USA, one is USSR, other is USA. Right? English good. So, what are the causes for bipolar world? Bipolar world got formed, emerged. Bipolar world emerged during Cold War. Because of the strong desire two superpowers in bracket IE, USA and USSR. The strong desire of two superpowers, that is USA and USSR, to maintain military and economic supremacy. Military and economic supremacy over the world. Supremacy over the world. Is the one thing. Put it back. Why the world got divided into bipolar? Got it? Up to 1991, from 1945 to 1991, world was got divided into two vertical blocks, and of course, in between there emerged non-alignment movement. Third world countries will be there. That is, the Afro-Asian countries will be there. That's a different story. Most of the time, world politics were dominated by these two nations, USA and USSR. That's why we say military blocks, two military blocks. Non-alignment is not a military block, Nana. It is the reasons we will come across when we come into the topic, right? So, it is because of ideological conflicts. What are the ideological conflicts? The ideology followed by USA is capitalism, and which is quite against that communism is followed by USSR, or the group of countries which are headed by USSR. But it's second world. First world is the group of countries which were headed by USA, and second world is the group of countries which were headed by communist Russia, right? So ideological conflicts in the second form. For emergence of bipolar world. The word is given as bipolar world. What are the causes for the emergence of bipolar world? During era of Cold War, is two. The strong desire of two superpowers, that is USA and USSR, to maintain military and economic supremacy over the world. That a strong desire, passion, made the world to get divided into two worlds. That is first world, second world. Got it? And first world led by USA, and second world led by USSR, communist USSR. So at this in this way, they successfully forward to look into certain areas which are having more concern to the lives of people of third world countries, that is Afro-Asian countries, who newly got independent from colonial powers after Second World War. What are the things of concern which should be addressed? What it related to these Afro-Asian countries? One is poverty. Poverty is one. What are the concerns? Core concerns, which is two blocks trying to make everything to the core concerns of the people living in the third world countries. Got it? Always they are busy in military activity and planning against rivals and so on. That is the only activity. Got it? Always hatred towards others and trying to trouble others, making plans and strategies for that. That is, they are busy with that. In that, when they are busy with that, they never have a concern or any relation or any look towards the sufferings of people who newly got independent from colonial powers in Africa and Asia. So this particular things of core concern made the leaders or the governments which came to power after independence from colonial masters to have a look into them. For that purpose, they came together and formed a movement called non-alignment movement. Right? Now we see what are the core concerns of the people. Core concerns of the people of third world. Concerns of the people of Afro-Asia. Concerns of people of third world. Third world is nothing but Afro-Asian countries which got independence after Second World War. Right. Core concerns are one, poverty. The people in this particular countries are suffering with anti-poverty. These two superpowers never paid interest to address that sufferings of the people and to give them some relief. So that thing is not addressed by poverty, inequality, and the inequality. These people face much inequality, segregation, and also discrimination they face a lot. Those things are not addressed by any of these superpowers. The USA or USSR failed to address it. And these people are suffering with the diseases, contagious diseases, and there is no concern to that superpowers to save these people from that deadly diseases. But they are very big of concern to the people belonging to these third world countries, right? And colonialism, still countries like some African countries, like what we can call Nigeria, Namibia, Angola, South Africa, and certain countries in Asia are still under control of, they were under control of colonial powers. People are fighting against that colonialism. And these superpowers being in a good position, they never took care of making them free from colonial powers or imperial control. So these are the things which support the people belonging to the Afro-Asian countries. What are they? These are the things of core concerns of the people of third world: poverty, inequality, diseases, and colonialism. Got it? They are suffering with these things, but these are not taken into consideration by either of the military bloc, which was headed by US and USSR. Got it? So this is the reason why the rulers of these Afro-Asian countries thought of making a venue, a dais for them to a dais for them for what purpose? For carrying the political, economic, culture aspects without the help of these superpowers, and to bail out their people from these suffering of poverty, inequality, diseases, and colonialism. By mutual cooperation and sharing, they thought of making a venue where they can extend mutual help to each other, and without the support of these two major powers are not being on the either side of them, they can grow themselves. For that purpose, they planned of making a platform. Got it? So that platform is nothing but non-alignment movement. Non-alignment movement. And the seeds were sown for this movement in Bandung Conference. Bandung is placed near Jakarta. Below India, you can see there is Indonesia. If you travel down to southeast of India, there is Indonesia. Borneo, Indonesia, Java, Sumatra, Bali, and so on. There is a place called Jakarta. Yeah, near Jakarta, a small town is there, Bandung. Near Jakarta, there is a town called Bandung. If you travel southeast of India, you get Indonesian islands, which is largest group of islands or largest archipelago in the world. Right? So that is Bandung Conference. Bandung is a small town near Jakarta. Near Jakarta, the capital of Indonesia. Bandung Conference. This was held from 18th to 24 April 1955. It was held for 1 week, 18th of April to 24th of April 1955. And this is also called as April 1955. It is also called as First Afro-Asian Conference. First Afro-Asian Conference. Afro-Asian Conference. Why it is called First Afro-Asian Conference? Means majority countries are from Africa and Asia, and a few countries are there from Latin America. What is Latin America? Mexico, Central America, like Honduras, Panama, Guatemala, Cuba, like these Central American, West Indies islands, Caribbean islands. These all come under Central America. Apart and below that, South America, like Venezuela, Brazil, Argentina, Colombia, Ecuador. Got it? In this way, these countries, Mexico, Central America, and South America put together is called Latin America. 1 or 2 countries of Latin America also attended this meeting, but most of them are Afro-Asian countries. That's why it's called First Afro-Asian Conference or Asia-African Conference also it can be called, but the most convenient is called Afro-Asian Conference. And 29 countries attended from these 2 continents. 29 countries. Of course, 1 or 2 countries from Latin America. Most of them are from Africa and Asia. And the most prominent indicator of this conference was it got inaugurated by the Prime Minister of Indonesia, Ali Sastro Mizozo, who inaugurated by Ali Sastro Mizozo. MIDJOJO, Mizozo. Ali Sastro, ALI, Sastro, Mizozo, MIDJOJO. Prime Minister of Indonesia inaugurated this meeting, PM. And the the President of Indonesia, region president, first President of Indonesia, Sukarno, Dr. Sukarno, presided over the meeting, conducted these conferences. What is the presiding, Nana? When our school day goes on, principal will be presiding. He will be inviting one after the first guest, then after chief guest to address the pupil and parents. And after that programs, one after that, we are handing the activity to the anchors, children who will play a role of anchor, and they will carry on the program. And a vote of thanks finally will be given by someone. This all program will be going on under the supervision of one fellow on the dais. That fellow is called as presiding authority. So here who presided the total conference which went for 1 week, 18th to 24th of April? It is Mr. Dr. Sukarno. It is Mr. Dr. Sukarno, the President of Indonesia, presided. Dr. Sukarno, the President of Indonesia. President of Indonesia. And Mr. Isaac is the Prime Minister. And who attended this? Even China, Chauhanlai of China, Prime Minister of China, Indian Prime Minister, Jawaharlal Nehru, and Egyptian leader, Abdul Gayum Nasser. Apart from that, Yugoslavia, communist country leader also. That is Joseph Tito, Benjo Tito, Joseph Broz Tito, John Kotelawala of Sri Lanka, Prime Minister of Sri Lanka. In this way, several heads of these countries, 29 countries attended this meeting. And in this meeting only, they started thinking about mutual cooperation in the areas of cultural aspects, economic aspects, and they planned on making a movement called non-alignment movement. And what is the objective of this non-alignment movement is, this movement will not permit the countries which during third independence are going to get independence to rally at the back of either of the military corps. And they will maintain a neutrality. And this neutrality is not a negative neutrality, positive neutrality. And they want to maintain their sovereignty at the same time. Sovereignty means decision-making power. They don't want to place this decision-making power in the hands of USA or USSR. They don't want to make. They want to carry with themselves only. And they will be standing with the righteous things happening in the world, and they will be opposing wrong things going on in the world. Either it may be done by United States of America or it may be done by USSR. Such aspects focusing upon the development of them. All the time they will be trying to eliminate the poverty which is existing in their countries, which is making people to suffer, and also inequality which is causing differences in the society, eradicating that inequality. And also fighting against the diseases. They have to come together and carry on the activity. Was the decision, was the objective in making this non-alignment movement. And first non-alignment conference was held at Belgrade, regional capital of Yugoslavia, presently existing in country called Serbia. Presently capital of Serbia, right? Yugoslavia got divided after World War II. After 1991, it got divided into few states, Croatia, Bosnia-Herzegovina. Bosnia-Herzegovina, one state only, not two states. Bosnia-Herzegovina, Croatia, Serbia, Slovenia, other states, Slovenia, four states it got divided. Right. So Belgrade, on what date what occurred? First non-alignment conference was made on 1st September 1961. 1st September 1961. What happened? First non-alignment movement conference what happened? Yeah, some 53 countries from Africa, some 41 countries from Asia, and 26 countries from Latin America became members very soon after formation of it. Got it? That means after UNO it became the body which is having largest number of members. That is 120 members. Actually when it got started only 25 members. In the 25 members it started. Soon by 2012 it will, by 2012 it rose to 120 member countries. To be frank, it became a largest group. Third world countries these are called, non countries are called. It became a largest group than first world countries led by United States of America, second world countries led by USSR. Got it? So that's why it had a good influence upon the things happening in the world. And 17 observers. Observers means again you will be asking in the region. Who are these observers? These observers are the people who are appointed to look into the things whether they are going properly or not with these member countries. Got it? Whether the targeted goals are we reaching or not. Is there any disturbance from any of the member country which is causing a hindrance to the achievement of targets which were set by the group? To observe that 17 observers were appointed from different countries, from Africa and Asia and Latin America. Right? Right. So, what are the core concerns when it got formed? When non-alignment movement got formed, what are the core concerns of this particular norm? One, to promote the important concerns, the things which it want to look into very carefully. To promote economic, cultural, scientific cooperation. If any member country have any problem there regarding economic, for example, there are 25 countries. One country is suffering with some bad economy. It requires some 100 rupees a thing. Remaining 24 countries will collect 10 rupees each or 5 rupees each. They will make that 24 into 5, 120 rupees. They will hand over to that country who is in need of that 100 rupees. So now that country will bail out, and some other country someday will be in need of. These remaining countries will come together and help. In that way, mutually supporting each other and making economic progress is one of the tasks of them. It is 1 for 10, 10 for 1. This is the principle of cooperative system. Cooperative system is 10 for 1, 1 for 10. 10 మంది కోసం ఒక్కరి కోసం 10 మంది. That is called true spirit of cooperation. So here they are this. Scientific and in the area of cultural aspects, as cultural things will make us to remember that we all are one. Because most of the cultural forms of the world are same with the little differences, but the core is same. So when people come across these cultural aspects of the other country, one country and other country, then they will understand well what is that country. It is nothing different from us. We need to have this particular thing. For example, we have Veena. In Italian culture, in Greek culture also they have. Greeks also have IYRE, a instrument like Veena. Then we'll come to it is Veena. And they have epics like Ramayana, Mahabharata, like Iliad and so on. Greeks. And if you see Zoroastrians of Persia, there is a book called Janda-Vesta, Holy Book of Zoroastrians. Zoroaster is the founder of Zoroastrianism. That book is almost similar to Ramayana. Righteous versus the wrongdoer. Ahurme versus Ahurmazda. Ahurmazda fighting between our success of the or victory of righteous person is the story of that Janda-Vesta, Holy Book of Zoroastrians, who are called Parsis. So like this, when we come across that books and culture, then only we know that it's similar with Ramayana or Mahabharata. Then we feel okay, they are also having same ethos like us. For example, they are also having same ethics and morals like us. So then we feel oneness. No much difference. Similarly we are having, we feel. So that's what to build that feeling of oneness among member countries, cultural exchange. And coming to the scientific, if any one of member country is having some nuclear knowledge, that will be shared for peaceful purposes only, not for destructive purposes. Power production, like how to produce power with the nuclear energy or radioactive elements. If India have knowledge, it will share with these member countries, so that they can also have that knowledge and they can also go for production and so on, right? So that is it. And putting a watch upon Cold War happenings and their impact. Cold War happenings and their impact. Happenings and their impact on the world. On the world. Yeah, closely watching what these superpowers are doing. Are they going to contribute for the world peace, or they are going to destroy the world peace? And what way it is going to show its impact upon the people of the entire world? Observing that, immediately raising the attention and objecting that country which is trying to be aggressive against others, but are unjustly trying to attack others, raising our voice as a big number of people, because 120 they become very soon. By 2012, 120 countries are there, largest group. So then naturally these countries, when they come together, they can put a pressure upon that superpower which is trying to create a disturbance to the world peace. Got it? So that's what the second this one. Third one is seeing that newly the countries which are going to decolonize very soon, or which are going to get independence from colonization. So those countries, seeing that countries will not join with any of the superpowers, is the another objective of this non-alignment movement, and making them to join in the non-alignment movement. Right? Stopping newly decolonized countries, joining with superpower, either of the superpowers. Either of the superpowers. Either of the superpowers. Right? Joining with either of the superpowers. They should not be joining with any of the superpowers, USSR, and they have to join with the non-alignment movement. Seeing that is also one of the objectives of core concern of non-alignment movement. And what happened because of this non-alignment movement? How far it is successful? What way these member countries got benefited? And what are the comments that non-alignment movement faces? These are all things we are going to come across in next video, along with the rise of nationalism in Middle East Asia. Actually, this concept of the rise of nationalism in Middle East Asia should be explained after West Asian conflicts, but it is a small topic when compared to West Asian conflicts. That's why tomorrow I am going to deal along with the non-alignment movement, leftover part of non-alignment movement, that last part. Along with that, I am going to explain you rise of nationalism in Middle East Asia. Then after I will go to West Asian conflict on Monday. Got it? So with that we will come to certain extent related to international affairs. Tuesday onwards, India's relations with China, its neighbors like China, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka will be coming across. Thank you all. See you.